Carpe diem, seize the day, boys. Make your lives extraordinary. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Of course, it's still Apple Week here, and there's a bunch of reviews for the iPhone Air, the Pro. We're going to get into all of that, some takes. We have listener voicemail, 5 audio messages we're going to play from you about what you pre-ordered and what you're excited about. Plus, Meta Connect happened just yesterday with the Meta Ray-Bans Plus display, a lot like the Orion glasses we saw a few months ago. So we're about to get into all of that. This episode is brought to you by Masterclass, Clean My Mac, and you, the members who support us directly. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, in a different location. If you're watching here on YouTube, we'll maybe touch on that in a second. Of course, joined by my friend Jason Aiton. How's it going, Jason?
I'm good. I'm not in a different location. Well, I mean, I am, but I'm in my own location.
Well, you're in a location. One of our listener voicemails is actually another Michigan native. We might need to do a meetup in Michigan. That's the place.
First live show here in Michigan.
First live show. Me, you, the listener, and Chance Miller.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
We'll just go
we could do it tomorrow night. They're opening a downtown Detroit Apple store.
Oh, really?
Yep, on Woodward. Yep.
Interesting. Okay, that's it. Well, is it?
And Apple just opened their Manufacturers Academy in Michigan, in Detroit. I'm saying Apple likes Michigan.
Interesting. Is there anything unique about this Apple store? I didn't see like a newsroom or anything.
It's in downtown Detroit.
Well, no, I know. Is the glass like is the roof a chia pet like the one in Miami that I went to? Is it a
chia pet?
You know what I mean? At the Miami World Center, they have a live garden on the roof. That was like the shtick.
I don't think that it's got a chia pet.
Okay, never mind.
I'm going to look and see if there's anything interesting about it while you talk about something else, but I don't think so. It's just downtown Detroit.
Okay, very good. Well, while you do that, real quick, we're halfway through September already, more than halfway, which is wild. Time is flying. But our St. Jude fundraiser, we surpassed the goal of last year, which we had done about $1,500 last year. We're past that goal, so thank you to everyone who has given. Again, this is in combination with Relay.fm, and this is just our podcast, our listeners and viewers donating. And so I still think we can make it to 5,000. So we just have a couple weeks to go. Donate to St. Jude if you can. That link is going to be in the show notes this episode and the next few weeks as we go. That's St. Jude. And I just want to plug again, send us a voicemail. We have 5 voicemails we're going to play today. It's super fun just to hear everyone, and we'll hear you, the listeners, and hear your thoughts and where everyone's listening from. Have like someone on the streets of Manhattan just recording as they're walking down. So anyway, leave us a voicemail, leave us a message. We love to hear from you. And also, couple 5-star reviews. JHN Chris Top from the USA, and I'm a little suspect about this username, Jason, but Jesus Christ 2025 from the USA. I feel like the second part contradicts the first part.
A little bit.
A little bit. Also, I'm not sure about this comment, but they said if his iPhone 4S finally died, I guess it's time to upgrade. I don't think you could be using a 4S in 2025.
You can't even run any of the apps or the operating system.
You can't run the app. You can't do that. I'll tell you what phone you can still use in 2025. I don't know if you saw my post on this. My brother-in-law is still rocking the iPhone 10, okay? And it is rough. It is rough. I don't know how he doesn't, like, cut up his hand. Well,
did you ask why? Like, why people still use apps like phones that are that old?
He says, I did ask him. He says he's just riding it out. Well, I don't know what that means, but he's riding it out, and so the back is all shattered. I'll put chapter artwork if you're listening, so you can see this. But it looks crazy. I don't know how you don't cut your finger on it. Battery health 61%. I've never even seen this too. It says important battery message. Your battery's health is significantly degraded. An Apple authorized service provider can replace the battery to restore full performance. Full performance of this however many year old phone. I don't know why he does it. He says he has to charge it multiple times a day. He says he goes for a run every day. He has to make sure it's at 100% when he leaves his apartment because it's in single digits when he gets back. So
wow.
I don't know why, Jason. I'm in his studio right now. I mean, he's got lots of equipment in here. I think a phone could be on the menu, but I don't know.
See, I don't know what to do with that information. I feel like
it's hard.
I don't know.
Is it is there some is it altruism that makes someone just keep using a phone, or is it hubris? I don't know.
It's like the scene in the Da Vinci Code where there's the priest guy that's going to do the bad thing, and he's like self-flagellation or whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's what that is.
I didn't think we'd touch on self-flagellation today, but we did it. We did it.
Only because the word came to my mind.
Which, by the way, did you know the quote? This was a movie that I have seen.
I was going to ask you when you saw Dead Poets Society. So.
I did see it actually recently.
There's only one movie I could possibly think of that has the words "Carpe Diem, seize the day." Actually, there are two. Both of them have Robin Williams.
Right. It is Dead Poets Society. I actually saw it, I don't know, 6 months ago for the first time because I was like, I feel like I should see this movie. Like it's a classic or something, and it's also Robin Williams. Just last side note, and then we'll actually talk about tech stuff. I bought that we were on the road trip because we drove up here to Virginia, and I bought this little card pack about like silly debates that you should do, that you can do with your family or friends or whatever. It's meant to be done while drunk, which we weren't because we were driving, but it was
There's a lot just packed into that sentence, just right there. Okay, go on.
Anyway, there's dumb debates like who would win in a fight, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or the big rolling rock from Indiana Jones. Like, it's silly stuff like that, which I sided with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Chuck Norris is always the answer.
Well, that is true. Jean-Claude Van Damme was on one of the cards. But one of the questions was, and it actually kind of made me sad, who would be a better hugger? Who would give better hugs? Fred Rogers, who is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or Robin Williams? I thought that was actually a tough question.
I don't think that's a tough question, and I'm going to make some people mad, but I don't want a hug from Mr. Rogers, just to be honest.
Really? I guess he didn't really hug a lot of people in the show, but
I think Robin Williams is the answer. But by the way, Jean-Claude Van Damme is not Chuck Norris. I just want to be clear.
I know that.
Well, I said Chuck Norris, and you like randomly just threw out. Yeah, Chuck Norris was on one of the cards.
No, Jean-Claude Van Damme
was on one of the cards, but that
I think of them in the same time period and space. I know Jean-Claude Van Damme did the split between the two semi-trucks, and then Chuck Norris tried to do a different split. I don't know if it was between two airplanes, but that one was fake.
That's not the joke. Do you not understand the
Maybe
joke?
Not. Wait. About the hug thing?
No, about the Chuck Norris
with the Rock.
winning every fight. Yeah.
Oh, yes, because Chuck Norris is a shadow. Or no, wait, hold on. Chuck Norris can divide by zero. Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice.
Okay, we shouldn't have spent this much time on this. I'm sorry for everyone.
Chuck Norris's tears cure cancer. The problem is he's never cried. I know all the jokes.
Well, okay.
I know.
I just want to be clear. Jean-Claude Van Damme is not in any of them, but that's okay.
I know. I just think you said Chuck Norris. I thought Jean-Claude Van Damme, not as the same person, but just it evoked Jean-Claude Van Damme. Anyway.
I mean, if you would have said Jack Bauer, that would have been an acceptable alternative. But
yeah, I didn't see Jack Bauer on any cards. But
okay.
All right. Anyway, this is a tech. If this is your first time listening, this is a tech podcast, by the way, and so we're going to talk about some technology. We're going to get into all the Apple stuff because that's all. Yes, the big news this week, but I think this is also pretty big news, and this happened just late yesterday on Wednesday. Meta had Meta Connect, where it announces a bunch of products, and they did just that. Mark Zuckerberg, honestly, I think Zuckerberg had the best recap just as a thread on Threads. He said, these are all the things we announced today. First up is the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. So there's an updated version of just the regular Meta glasses that has the built-in camera, higher video quality, double the battery life. So that's cool. But also the Oakley Meta Vanguard, which is kind of like I don't know how else to describe it. Like if you fish or if you do like sporty things, it looks like that kind of sunglasses. And it has even more powerful speakers, wider field of view, video stabilization, and can sync with Garmin. So it's got they're sunglasses. So you got those sunglasses now. But the big news is that Meta announced the Meta Ray-Ban display with the Meta Neural Band. This seems very much like the Orion glasses that they showed off a few months ago or maybe a year ago.
Well, they're more like what Google showed off this year. The XR glasses that Google just showed off.
Right. So these are not the Orions come to fruition. Correct. This is kind of a different thing, but it's the same idea because with the Orion glasses that Meta showed off at that event, they had the wristband where you would control certain things with the glasses. Did Google's glasses have a wristband thing?
No,
they didn't. Right.
No.
Right. So this is kind of Meta's thing, Anyway, this is going to go on sale September 30th. It's going to be $800 for the glasses and the neural wristband, but it has the display, a single display built into the right eyeglasses lens. And so you can do things like pedestrian directions. You'll be able to message people. Obviously, you'll be able to take photos and video like the regular Ray-Bans. But at least from the demos, it's impressive. One note, the actual demo they did during the event yesterday, which was a live event, not a pre-recorded event, there was a failure of the demo. I think the connection, like the Wi-Fi went down, and so some of the live demos were failing. But as I saw some people saying on social media, I think that's actually still preferable than like the pre-recorded video that Apple's been doing. And it's like Google showed off their glasses live on stage. They had a demo fail at one point where it froze or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Show the thing. But these look super interesting. I mean, this is like AR glasses. This is like the first real product you'll be able to buy after Google Glass. That's like legit AR, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Verge said that they were very good, right? Like they seem to be, well, they said they're the best they've ever tried. So that is a qualification because none of these things are amazing yet. But I do think that the Google ones, the XR glasses were pretty good, but they were still just a concept.
Right.
And so it's hard to compare those to something that's actually shipping. So that's encouraging. I do think it's interesting. Like, there's just a weird vibe, not a weird vibe. There's just a vibe because Zuck's post was, "Here's everything I announced." You can imagine, like, if Tim Cook posted something, it's, "Here's everything we announced. Here's everything we talked about today. Here's everything Apple did. Here's you know what I mean? Like, but Zuck's just like, "I was the guy. You were all listening to me. I announced it."
Well, he was the one on stage announcing things.
I know, but don't people like that in those situations usually say, like, "we," as in like the company? This is Meta did this, not just.
But this is one of the guy. This goes back to like the question we had about like founder mode and CEO energy, where it's like, who are the companies left that are still run by their founders? You have Meta, run by Mark Zuckerberg. You have Airbnb, Brian Chesky, and who else that are big in the space?
I mean, Snap.
Okay.
I mean, the Google guys are still technically involved.
Yeah, but they're not CEO. They're not CEO.
They don't. When you own 14% of the company, you don't have to be CEO. I made the number.
That sounded
up.
evil.
I'm not saying. It kind of is. Don't be evil.
Right. Well, yeah, I do think it would have made more sense for him to say these here everything's Meta announced, but
I mean,
anyway.
Even Michael Dell is not running that computer company anymore.
Right. Dell still exists. You can still buy it. Dude, you can still get a Dell. You can still get it. Anyway, these look I think impressive. Victoria Song has a video on The Verge. We'll include links to that. You know, the gestures and those, I mean, they say it seems natural. She was saying one of the coolest features, like just taking a photo and video, you can actually preview it without having to pull out your phone. Because with the Ray-Ban glasses before, if you took a photo or video, you had to, there's no display. You had to look at your phone. But also, a lot of people were saying the UI was, it evokes liquid glass, honestly, a lot. And not that they're saying they ripped Apple or anything, but it might just be kind of the design, like the next design language maybe. But if you look at a lot of like the overlays and like obviously messages is another thing you can do from the Meta Ray-Bans with display, both messages and translation and even like live captions if you're talking to someone or if you're watching something, and even like typing with the neural band in the air or on surfaces. So I do get a little bit of like humane vibes, like right here where it's like the technology will just disappear and you don't have to hold out your phone and you can then text people and not look like you're texting because you're still looking at people in the face. So, we'll see.
Yeah, you just have to wear chunky glasses with giant cameras.
That's all you need. And a wristband. So you got to wear the wristband too.
I know we're going to talk more about some of this later, but I just want to say, like, in this arena, liquid glass type design, great.
Right.
On an iPhone, on a Mac, on an iPad, it just sucks, Steven. It's the worst.
Okay, now wait a minute. Okay.
It's so bad. Everything about the more I use it, the more I hate it.
Okay.
You know why? Because in the glasses, you want to be able to look through it.
I've never heard you this worked up about something.
I've said it before. I don't think it's good. I think it's going to just grate on people. And the more I put it on my main phone, and I'm like, oh, I just don't like it. It's so unnecessary, Stephen.
Well, that's the thing. Those were the announcements from MetaConnect, and I mean, September 30th is when you can order them. I'm thinking about ordering some because I never got the first Meta Ray Bans, and a bunch of people said, "Yay, we really like them, and it's cool, especially for like first-person video capture." So I'm gonna get them. That's kind of all there is. We have to wait to see actually like when it's out in the world and reviews and stuff. But that was MetaConnect yesterday. I want to talk about iOS before we get to the reviews of like iPhone Air, 16 Pro, and all that kind of stuff. I do think, like you're saying, we should talk about iOS 26 because it's now out for everyone. Came out Monday along with macOS 26 Tahoe and all the operating system updates. And we actually had a listener write in, Mike from Coral Springs, was saying how like iOS 26 for like the average user. What do we think about this? And he was saying he struggles with some of the animation and design, like you were mentioning, especially in messages, where every tap is like a flash of light, and it does feel like sometimes a little over animation. And I did a whole review video of iOS 26, and so I'll link that in the show notes below as well. But I do think that, I mean, I would never do the clear icons like day to day for real. I do think iOS 26 brings some great features to the phone, like the translation and messages is pretty seamless. I think it's great. The things like message, like polls and messages, that's cool. I'm trying to think now. I forgot.
Call screening, the whole
the call
feature,
features are amazing.
Adaptive power mode. There's a lot of great things about iOS 26.
Yeah.
Liquid Glass just isn't one of them.
The shortcuts use model action. I have a whole video on that coming out later today. But like you're saying, the Liquid Glass, in my review video, I actually went back to the announcement of iOS 7 when they announced that redesign. And I thought it was interesting. It's Johnny Ive talking about iOS 7. And they do this shot of an iPhone. And they actually show a zoomed-in image of the keyboard where you actually see the content behind the keyboard scrolling. And the keyboard's like semi-transparent. Has it been like that since iOS 7 and I just like forgot? Or did they like make the keyboard more opaque from iOS 7 to 18 and now we're on glass again? Because I honestly can't remember.
I think that's fine. That's not what we're talking about. Like what we're talking about now is that everything on my home screen looks like melting ice cubes. Like,
well, okay.
Especially when you have a stack of notifications, it just all looks like melting ice cubes. Like, why? Why? It's so unnecessary, Stephen.
I think...
And it doesn't make the experience better just because they came up with that. And again, right. I think it's important to separate the difference between Liquid Glass and iOS 26. iOS 26 would be amazing, except for the part about Liquid Glass. Do you like Liquid Glass? Like, and let me just be clear. No pun intended. Do you like Liquid Glass beyond the fact that it feels new and fresh and different, which is a valid reason to like something? I've heard other podcasts where people are like, this is exactly what I want because it's new and fresh and it's different. But like new and fresh and different isn't necessarily like, I heard a quote recently where it says you should always default to being more clear. Again, not transparent, as opposed to just trying to be creative. And the argument that the person was making was your goal, especially in user interfaces or like when you're trying to communicate things, is to be very clear, not just to come across as like, look, we did a cool thing. Doing a cool thing is helpful until it reaches the point where it's no longer serving the people who are using it. And I just feel like Liquid Glass went way too far.
So I think great design can both look cool and good and fresh and new, but also not get in the way of using a product or device and make it better or easier to navigate. And I will say I do not think Liquid Glass strikes that balance. I don't think it both is a visual refresh that looks good and provides better functionality or more intuitive user interface on the iPhone. It does not do the latter. It does not add anything to making it easier to navigate your phone or, know where things are. I think it actually does the opposite. And there are a couple like clear examples, and I mentioned this in my video. Like if you look at the music app or the podcast app, Liquid Glass on the left, if you're watching in iOS 26, they hide the tabs for navigation now under like a menu, basically. So in iOS 18 and earlier, at any point in the music app or podcast, you could tap the search, library, radio, new, or home tab, and that tab bar was always present. So you were a single tap away from any of those menus. But in iOS 26, you're now 2 taps away. And a lot of people on social media were like, did you know you can tap and hold on that and then swipe to a thing? And I was like, that's still 2 gestures.
It's irrelevant, yeah.
It's still 2 things you have to do. And so those moments, I feel like, well, now certain actions are an additional step away. And while it might not seem like a lot on the surface, if you multiply that by dozens or hundreds of taps in those apps every day, like I'm in the podcast app a lot, I'm sure people are in the music app a lot, I think that makes it a worse user experience to add taps or to add actions to something that was just fine before. And so you could have and this was the title of my video, form versus function. I do feel like Liquid Glass takes the form side too hard at times, and you lose some of the functionality. And in the same way, like the transparency and stuff, I don't think that's as big of a deal. Like if you find it hard to read or everything looks like melting glass, like you could do the reduced transparency and accessibility. But I just find that it didn't add anything in function or ease of use. It added maybe some cool looking elements, but I'm not sure the sacrifice was worth it. I personally like a design refresh in anything. And so it's nice to like look at something different. But like listener Mike was also saying, in the Messages app, it feels like there's little flashes of light every time you tap something, whether it's tapping like the plus button to add a photo, tapping the text compose window, tapping the blue check to go back to the back button to go to the conversation list. There's all these little like flashes of light that I understand, they're cool animations, I guess, but also it seems like it's almost distracting. And like, I don't know about you, but I'll move fast sometimes within apps. And so I'm tapping quickly and it almost feels like it's slowing me down. I don't know if it's actually slower or not than iOS 18, but all the little animations and having to see those like fire off, it does feel like this feels a little slower. Even just a toggle. And this is something I showed in my video. The toggles in iOS 18, you tap the toggle, it moves over, you're done. Like it's very fast.
Right.
If you tap a toggle in iOS 26, it's got to like whoomp. Like
you got to watch the little drop of liquid glass do liquid glass things, which is actually not a thing. But like, Steven, it's just what you said is like exactly the problem. Like if you swipe up from the lock screen, it has to do this like whole like weird bouncy thing. You know what glass doesn't do? It doesn't bounce, Steven.
Well, it's liquid.
Glass doesn't bounce. It's also not a liquid, Steven. It's not. It's like it's either lava or it's a solid. Like those are the only 2 options for glass. But it's like it makes us think too much about the phone. In the irony, because like I just was over looking at the app library and I'm like looking at the app library and I'm like, it's so annoying that there's like all those little glass tiles that all the apps and all the icons look terrible. Like the photos icon, they all look so like dull and
the photos icon specifically looks blurry to me.
Yeah, that
like
one does. Like all these, they all do. The maps icon looks blurry. The settings icon looks blurry. The news icon looks. Oh wait, all of Apple's icons look blurry now, and I just don't understand. And you pointed out the music app, which is great. Because the thing they say they're doing is showing you more of your content by making the rest of it. Except for now I have to think about the fact like it's overlaid over the content you might want to be seeing. Whereas in the past when you had Chrome just disappears. You just know that that's where you put your thumb when you want to change to something else. And then you go back to the content. And to humans, it just disappears. You don't think about like I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm not thinking about my menu bar. It's fine that there's a menu bar. I don't need it to be transparent right now on the Mac. It's just I feel like the more I've used it and now that I've settled into the fact that like this is what we have to use, I think liquid glass was a huge mistake. I know some of our listeners love that, but I think what people love about it is that it's different and new and fresh. I think it's a terrible like design choice.
Well, there's going to be there were people on social media and in the comments, like even of our last YouTube, I think, episode, where they were like, you guys just need to get with it. That you need to get used to something new. Like it's just new. Like you guys are old fuddy duddies, and it's like, sure, but just like you cannot like something aesthetically. But my argument is that there are times liquid glass is a poor choice as a user interface, and some of the things are just half baked. And so another thing I show in my video, if you swipe down the notification tray, so your phone is unlocked, you are on your home screen, and you're swiping down to look at your notifications. Previously with iOS 18, it would like slowly blur your home screen as you're pulling down that drawer. And in iOS 26, there's like this weird behavior where it doesn't even like touch your home. Like it will slightly dim the home screen icons, but you can get some really weird effects where like your lock screen clock widgets and now playing thing is overlaid on icons.
Yeah,
and
have
then
no idea.
But if you look at iOS 18, like I'm showing here, that just progressive blurring and actually feels like a drawer coming over or a pane coming over your home screen. I think it was a much cleaner or better design. And so I think aesthetics aside, maybe you love liquid glass, you love how it looks, totally get it. I do think that it has hindered some of the user interface and user experience, UI, UX, and that isn't great. They can still fix some of that, but I don't think they will. Like, I think we're just here now. Like, we just
they're not going to change it, but that's just to be clear. Again, I'm sorry I keep using that word.
The puns.
Just to make sure that I'm making my point the way I like iOS 26 a lot.
Yeah.
I also think some of the elements of liquid glass are fine. Like but they could have done them without liquid glass. And the reason I think it's a bad choice is that it makes you notice the interface. And I think a good interface does not require the user to notice it. It just lets them do the thing they want to do, or notice the app, or notice the content, or notice whatever it is you're doing. I don't like that the interface now is trying to be something that I notice, because I don't think that that's what what iOS should be doing. I think people use iOS so that they can use things on their iPhone. Right. I don't want to ever think about using iOS. And it's also like, I'll be honest, on the iPad, it's actually the best in my opinion. And partially that's because I think the benefits are just so worth it. Like, I'll take it. You gave me the stuff I want. On the Mac, like even opening a Finder window, like actually right now, my dock is just a sheet of glass. I mean, I feel like I'm going to break it if I click on this icon, but
I don't think the dock, I don't think is that. I mean, a Finder window, it looks pretty simple. It's rounded.
Window's bad.
It's more rounded or whatever. I do think
it's
like
lower it's like weird. I don't know.
I do think like in the Finder window and in Messages, the left sidebar is like a rounded rectangle within the rounded rectangle. You know what I mean? Like and like that feels a little like, well, why did we do that? Like, I don't know. Now I have an additional line in my Finder window that's like separating the like the nav bar on the left. But anyway, go ahead.
I was just gonna say also, like, I have like 4 apps open. 2 of them are Apple apps, and the corner radiuses are all different.
The corner radii.
They're all different.
The corner radii are strange.
I don't know.
I do wonder, and this will come into play when we talk about the 17 Pros, that Apple seems to be looking at like utilitarian and power as different than design and like something beautiful to look at. And I'm specifically talking about like iPhone Air versus 17 Pro, as like some of the reviews have come out and said, like the iPhone 17 Pro is now the MacBook Pro, something utilitarian. And you could, someone might even argue, I think I just swallowed a fly. Hold on. There's been a little gnat flying around my microphone this entire time. And I think it finally just went in my mouth, and I think I just swallowed it. How's that for liquid glass? Let me drink out of this glass, actually. Yeah, 100% just swallowed a fly. Anyway.
I definitely shouldn't laugh at you, but...
No, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
But, Stephen... Okay, but
Stephen... Well, let me finish my thought, because if you look at the MacBook Pros, 2016, the MacBook Pros became much less utilitarian, and Johnny Ive made them super focused on design, which caused us to lose all ports except USB-C and Thunderbolt ports, made it super thin, and added things like the touch bar, which some people love, but whatever. And there were years there where it was like, yes, this MacBook Pro is super thin and it looks super sleek, but it is lacking the utilitarian design. And people were not happy with it. And once Apple, with the M1 Pro MacBook Pro, added back the HDMI port, added back the SD card slot. There was no SD card slot on the MacBook Pro for like 6 years. Then people were like, okay, this is the computer we wanted. And I do think there's a distinction between like, there are some trade-offs when it comes to utilitarian use or just like function, like pros who want an SD card slot and HDMI port. That doesn't look as sleek as the side of a MacBook Pro where it just has USB-C ports. Like, I totally get that. But I also think the new MacBook Pros are well designed and look nice. Like, it can do both. I do think the design of the MacBook Pros, it actually looks great. And it's a well-designed, utilitarian, functional machine. It can do both. And it feels like maybe the iPhone 17 Pro leaned too hard on the utilitarian side when it came to the hardware design. And maybe Liquid Glass leaned too hard in just like the aesthetics and lost some of the functionality.
Well, and I just think the irony is that they started off the iPhone event with the Steve Jobs design isn't just how it looks and feels, it's how it works. And it just doesn't work for the thing that it's supposed to do, which is let you enjoy the stuff that you put on it. It makes you think about the interface. And I just think that that's a huge mistake. Well, I have a thought about what you said about the iPhone 17 Pro, but I'll save it for when we get there because I think there's a good reason. And it actually helps me understand why the iPhone Air exists.
Yeah. Okay, same. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into some of the reviews. But let us know. If you want to leave us a voicemail, this is the thing I want to hear your voicemails about. We want to hear your voice talk about iOS 26.
Yeah, come at me. I understand my opinion may not be popular, but I also have been using this a lot longer than people who just downloaded it on Monday. And it does look cool at first, and then you're like, this sucks.
And I don't have that feeling, but I don't think it is ideal. I don't think anyway. Let's hear from you. Rather than leave an angry YouTube comment or a 1-star review, leave us a 5-star review and then leave us a voicemail. And you can ream Jason out. That's totally fine.
You can even email me. The other guy at primarytech.fm. You can email me. I'll read them. I'm happy to. I'm happy to listen to people tell me why I'm wrong.
Yes.
I'm not, but
I'd like to
fine.
hear it too.
Yeah.
All right. So all the reviews came out this week. Monday was AirPods Pro. Tuesday was Apple Watch. Wednesday was the iPhones 17. So we're going to talk about this more when we get them in hand. So for our next episode, Jason and I will actually have these devices and we'll be able to talk about them. Everyone will get them on launch day, obviously Friday. But AirPods Pro 3 reviews seem universally loved. MKBHD, The Verge, everyone who tried it, AirPods Pro 3 said the noise canceling was better. The fit was better. The tips and the way they're angled is an improvement, and so it sounds better. Overall, just probably one of the most no-brainer, best upgrades of all the devices that were announced at the event. AirPods Pro 3 seem to have taken it. I've not seen a lot of testing when it comes to live translation, and so they did. The Verge and MKBHD do mention it and test it. I want to do more testing on that in depth. It is limited to languages. It's not like all the languages you get for the text translation features you can use with the AirPods Pro 3 live translation. But I do want to test a bunch and see how it works. But overall, they look great. Everybody says they sound great. And, yeah, I mean, The Verge gave it a 9. That's pretty high for The Verge.
I mean, I think John Gruber, friend of the show, said that they are the best tech product ever made. Not just the best headphones. He says that they're the best tech product ever made.
He said on Dithering that the AirPods Pro 3 make the AirPods Pro 2 sound like butt, but he used the curse word, and I don't want an explicit tag.
Well, and someone at Apple got a bonus when MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, said they finally fit into his ears. That there was a meeting where someone was like, I don't care what you have to do. Make these fit Marquez's ears. I'm so tired of him reviewing AirPods Pro, but saying, but I'm not going to use them because they don't fit into my ears. And that single quote from him was probably worth $100 million in R&D just to make sure that they fit into his ears.
He was very bullish.
I am surprised by how bullish people are on how much, because the AirPods Pro 2 sound really, really good. And I use them on airplanes. And I think that the air noise cancellation is great. And it kind of feels like it kind of feels like the difference from when Apple went from Intel to the M1, and we're like, how is it possible something got this much better? It's like, how could the AirPods 3 be that much better than the AirPods 2? But so I'm looking forward to hearing them.
That's too many puns.
puns.
We have hit the limit on the puns. No, I'm very excited to try them. I mean, I've done a lot of headphone reviews on my channel. I've actually returned to using the Sonos Ace over-the-ear headphones recently because I actually find them very comfortable, more comfortable than AirPods Max, and I really like the sound. They've actually updated them, software-wise, and I finally did try the Sonos, like, tap the button, and you can move the sound from your Sonos soundbar and TV to the headphones, and it's actually incredible. And so I should probably do another review, like a follow-up review, because that was a buggy feature when they came out. But I'm curious just how the AirPods Pro 3 sound, like you're saying. Everyone's saying they sound so much better. I'm curious, like, did they beat physics and actually make an earbud sound that good?
Right.
So, anyway, so we need to talk about the iPhone Air next, because a lot of the reviews came out about that. You wrote an article. But before we do, I do want to thank our two sponsors. This is, I think, the first time sponsoring this podcast, and so I'm really excited. But Masterclass is an incredible service. If you've never watched or joined Masterclass, you have to try it. I've done Masterclass for many years, ever since I hosted the last podcast, and they sponsored that. But then I paid for it myself, and then over the years, because Masterclass, you'll find something you love, first of all. And one of the things, I mean, I'm a musician, and I actually have a music degree, play trumpet, all that kind of stuff. But I love Masterclass because there's so many courses like Yo-Yo Ma on creativity and music. And even if you're not into music, it is just a beautifully shot. It is just awe-inspiring. I also love film scores, and you can see Hans Zimmer's studio, and you see the gear that he uses to make his scores, which he scored the F1 movie, if you didn't know. Awesome. Just classes and teachers that are on there in Masterclass. But with Masterclass, you can learn from the best and become your best. With plans starting at just $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200-plus classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. And with Masterclass, you get thousands of bite-sized lessons across 13 categories that can fit into even the busiest schedules. So cooking, productivity, writing, creativity. I watched Questlove. He had a DJ class, but he also talks about the history of hip hop, and he has this, he films in his little studio where he has all these records along the wall. Honestly, there have been many nights where my wife and I, we didn't know what to watch. There's so much out there, but there's a lot of it's not great. And so a lot of times we'll just let's watch a masterclass. Let's watch Yo-Yo Ma talk about music. It's something we're both passionate about. And honestly, it's one of the best streaming service prices you can get. All the other streaming services are going up in price. If you think of Masterclass that way, I think it's a great option. I think Gordon Ramsay's on there. I watched the video about how to make his amazing mashed potatoes. I don't know if I'll ever try it myself, but it was really cool. It was really inspiring how he did that. But it's really a pleasure just to watch the classes. And you can do it on your iPhone, too. You can listen to them like a podcast. You can flip back and forth between video and audio. Just highly recommend. And every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. And here's the thing. Right now, as a Primary Tech listener, you can get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/primarytech. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/primarytech. Masterclass.com/primarytech. I've watched for years. I love it. You should check it out. Just try for a couple months if you want to, but I think you should do the year because you'll love it. You watch actors talk about it. Chris Voss is in there, The Art of Negotiation. I read his book, but his Masterclass is even better because you could see him, and it's really high production value. Anyway, try it out. That's Masterclass. Our thanks to Masterclass for sponsoring this episode. And Clean My Mac. We talked about this a couple episodes ago, and then I had listeners reach out and said, I tried Clean My Mac. Love it. It has helped me free up space both in my iCloud Drive, which is a newer feature of Clean My Mac, but also just helps you clean the disk space. So all that mystery disk space that you see in system settings and storage and you're not sure what to do with it, Clean My Mac can help. It's going to free up your space. It's going to neutralize threats. But also, if you little things like if you want to delete an app, Clean My Mac will make sure that all those app files that are hidden in your library and support application stuff, it's going to clean all that out. So you can be confident that even if you download something from the App Store, that you can delete it and still be totally free of those files. That's the uninstall apps without leaving a trace. That's that feature here. But also take control of clutter, find those big files that might be hiding somewhere on your computer, and this newer feature, which, again, our listeners have said they love, clean up your cloud storage right here with Clean My Mac. It's an awesome feature. Even cleaning up your messages, which we talked about messages and attachments before, but now Clean My Mac helps you with that as well. So you got to try it, Clean My Mac. You can get tidy today. Try 7 days for free, which seems wild for Clean My Mac to give 7-day free trial, because then you can just clean your computer, but you're going to want to hold on to it because, as you install stuff over the years, as that storage space fills up, or if you want to uninstall apps, Clean My Mac is going to be there to help you. So use our code PrimaryTech, all one word, for 20% off. 20% off Clean My Mac. That's clnmy.com. So clncleanmy.com/primarytechnology. The link is also in the show notes. Highly recommend Clean My Mac. That's clnmy.com/primarytechnology to get 20% off Clean My Mac. Our thanks to Clean My Mac for sponsoring this episode. You think Clean My Mac can clean up liquid glass? Just kidding.
I don't know. But I will say about Masterclass, I took Lewis Hamilton's. I watched his class.
Oh.
And Aaron Franklin, who Franklin Barbecue in Austin, Texas. I was there for South by Southwest last year. Got to actually meet him and try his barbecue. It's amazing. But I was like, that's cool. I don't have a pit, so I can't make barbecue quite the way he does. But it's really cool. I mean, like I did Andy Leibowitz's photography class, which was super interesting, and Aaron Sorkin's screenwriting class. Like all these,
my goodness,
there's some very cool stuff in there. I don't know that I could convince my wife to sit down before we can't find a movie and watch a class. We would probably just go to bed. But
I think it's well, it depends on which one too. Like the Yo-Yo Ma one, it really feels like I don't know. I just loved hearing him talk about creativity. And
sure.
So it was less of a class and more of an experience, we'll say.
All right.
Anyway, they didn't tell me to say that, but anyway. All right, iPhone Air. This is also an experience, which is it's the lightest phone. I watched a bunch of reviews. So Chance Miller has a great review on 9 to 5 Mac about the iPhone Air. I watched Andrew Edwards' review, which was really good. And he also talked about battery life, which, that was the big concern about battery life. And it seems as though the iPhone Air will get you through a day. This shot of MKBHD clowning behind Andrew Edwards is hilarious. But, he said battery life is fine. The bigger caveats on the iPhone Air that I had heard and have seen in these reviews and seen in these reviews, it's slower charging, which whatever, but also the mono speaker. There's no speaker on the bottom of the iPhone Air. It's a single speaker, which is like the earpiece speaker. So that's not going to be great. Of course, lacking the ultra-wide camera and the telephoto. But those almost are really the bigger caveats. Battery life, yes. I mean, you're not going to get as good a battery as like the 17 Pros and things like that. But it is a really beautiful phone that's hyper thin and lighter than the other phones, if that's what you want. But I also noticed the other day, just for kicks, like if you pre-ordered the iPhone Air today, when could you get it? And it was still available for launch day delivery. I don't know. And like in multiple markets, like I checked in Florida, I checked in Virginia where I am now, because I was like, maybe I'll just order an iPhone Air here because I'll be here on Friday. But yeah, there's still, that could either be, and that's actually one of the questions from our listeners, maybe Apple correctly estimated the amount of iPhone Airs they would need, which is why there's no delay in shipment. Like you can just order one today and get it on launch day. Or that demand is slightly low, and maybe not as many people bought the iPhone Air as they thought might buy it. But you also had an article about the iPhone Air. But tell me,
my article is really about the iPhone 17.
Right.
But I think the iPhone Air is kind of weird. And I think that it feels like the liquid glass of iPhones. It's like we did it because we could.
The Verge called it a statement piece, which I think is...
Yeah, we did it because we could. And I think what's interesting is that Apple thought that this was a phone that people would pay a premium for thinness.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't have any, obviously, visibility into internal Apple sales, whatever. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that people will pay a premium for thinness, because this phone, by all accounts, should be cheaper than the iPhone 17. It just should. There's nothing about this phone that is better than the iPhone 17, except for that it's thinner. It has the A19 Pro, yes, but like there's nothing like really, right? What about this phone justifies paying $200 extra? It's got a slightly bigger screen, but it's the exact same screen, right?
Right.
It's got a way worse battery. Like
Yeah.
the iPhone 7, this is what I wrote about the iPhone 17. First of all, no one should even consider buying anything else. Just buy the iPhone 17. Like, just do it. They basically took all the features that you used to have to pay for the Pro last year and just put them on there with the exception of the telephoto lens. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know what lens most people will never use? The telephoto lens. Like, most people will never use that. And if you are someone who, I do use it, so the Pro's great. Most people should not even be thinking about it, especially because the parity in the battery now is so close, right? The Apple says it's like 3 hours difference or something like that. That's nothing. You used to have to pay to get the ProMotion screen, the always on display, the brighter display. You used to, like, those are things you had to pay for. You don't have to pay extra for any of those things anymore. Just get the iPhone 17. The iPhone Air, on the other hand, is like, I'm buying it because it's skinny. Wait, I'm buying it because it's like, it's the cool one that you couldn't get before, but I don't know why that's worth $200 extra. Apple, it's like the 24 karat gold Apple Watch. Like, that's like just not quite as expensive.
Right. I do wonder.
Think about how bendy that would be, a 24 karat gold iPhone. It would you just like destroy that.
Which apparently Apple did a bend test video on their channel with the iPhone Air and supposedly could withstand lots of pressure. And it is better at kind of going back into shape after being bent, which is better than the iPhone 6 series, which that was Bendgate, if you were around for that, where they would bend it. There was also an interview with Joswiak and I think it was Tom's Guide guy and
the Tech Radar, Lance Ulanoff.
Lance Ulanoff. And Jaws was like, they had an iPhone Air. They were talking about it. And Jaws was like, here, why don't you try and bend it? And he like throws it across the room, like hits the table. And then the Tom's Guide guy like tries to bend it with his bare hands. And I think Lance Ulanoff does too. And they can't bend it. Now, that whole interaction, take what you will. Like, also, I wouldn't want to bend a phone with my bare hands and it risk breaking and glass shards going into my hand. So, like, I probably wouldn't give it my full strength. But okay, I don't think bending is an issue with the iPhone Air. I feel like if you get the iPhone Air, I don't think you have to worry about bending. If you wear it in your back pocket, I don't know, because people do that. But I'm curious who will go into an Apple store. And actually, I think this is why Apple does it. I think Apple wants people to see it, feel it, and think, oh, Apple is like on the edge, cutting edge again. Like Apple can make something like striking, unbelievable, and I'm not going to buy it, but it's really, really cool. And maybe that's the iPhone Air. Because I don't know, like, if someone were to go in an Apple store, not a techie person, someone were to go into an Apple store and they're like, I want to upgrade my iPhone. And the Apple store employee says, well, look at this. This is the iPhone Air. And it's like, whoa, that's really cool. What else you got? And they show the iPhone 17 and they're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I get another camera and it's cheaper? Okay. Well, that's the iPhone. Okay. And then they're going to show them the 17 Pro. They're going to be like, what's that on the back? What's going on there? And they're like, oh, that's way more expensive. You know what? I'll take the 17. I feel like I could be wrong. I feel like most non-techie people who walk into an Apple store, that will be the engagement. That will be the discussion where it's like, this looks amazing, but it's more expensive and you get less stuff. No, thank you. iPhone 17 Pro? Nah. iPhone 17. I'll just go with that. And so I think you're right. But I think they made it so it can be sitting on those Apple tables with a cable stuck to the back. So I don't know how effective it'll be when someone holds it. But I don't know. It's like the Verge is saying, I think it's a statement piece. I think it's Apple just showing that they can do it.
Yeah, but that's a weird statement to be making because you know what most people would think is cool? If they could say, hey, Siri, what time did my brother's flight land? And could you send me the directions to that? That's what people want. That's what would be cool because that's what everybody else is trying to do.
Burn.
Not let's make a phone that we don't think anyone is actually going to buy.
Yeah.
Like that. This is the 24 karat gold Apple Watch. Or maybe actually a better example is like the Hermes Apple Watch, right? Like they still do that, by the way. You can still get an Hermes Apple Watch if you want to buy a
$450 band.
If you wanted to do that, that's a thing that's available in their lineup. Like I just don't think that I'm trying to figure out like why this is the statement that they. And again, I think it looks so cool, but it's like why would are people looking at phones still that way? And also like okay, so the only thing I can think of that makes it is it justifies them going all in on making the extra pro for pros,
right.
But also like. They're basically trying to make the like the iPhone 17 Pro as a device is competing with like a Sony or like a Blackmagic camera or like, you know what I mean? It's like
Sure.
as a phone, it's insane. Like it doesn't
Right.
make any sense. It is like brutalist. It's like
Yeah.
it's like such a chunky thing. And I think, and I, my impression from Apple is that they made the design choices on the Pro to maximize the things that they think people care the most about.
Yeah.
I don't know that most people with the, I think, and you can tell me if you disagree. I think that the two things that the largest number of people care about is how long will the battery last
Sure.
and how much does this thing weigh in my hand?
That I do think cameras play a part. My wife, I was talking, she has an iPhone 15, and I was telling her about the phones. And I was like, you got the iPhone Air, you got the 17, the most direct upgrade from what you have. And then you got the Pro. And she actually wanted to get the Pro because of the camera. She takes a lot of photos of our kids and of things. And she actually wanted like the most camera she could have because that is her only camera. That is like, she's not a professional photographer, but she wanted every option she could have at any given moment, whether it's telephoto or ultra wide or whatever. And so there's that. But also, I want to make a comparison to like early 2000s when the MacBook Air was announced 2007 or 2005. When was it announced? Do you remember?
The MacBook Air?
The original MacBook Air.
Wasn't it 2008 and then they revised it? Or maybe they announced it in 2007?
No, it was 20. Shoot. It's telling me 2025. It's like, no.
2008. Yeah, it was 2008. I was right.
2008. Okay. So 2008 and the subsequent like few years, the MacBook Air was a expensive computer compared to the MacBook and was a very niche appeal. Like you got the MacBook Air because you wanted to say you had the thinnest MacBook, but especially in that first model, it wasn't great. It was slow, might overheat. It wasn't great because it was just limitations of physics. And so in that moment, and the MacBook Pros, I feel like there was a larger gap between the Pros and the regular MacBooks even back then. And so it was like most people are not spending the money on a MacBook Pro, and they'll just get a MacBook. And that was when you get like the matte black MacBook. And so in that time, most people should have just gotten the regular MacBook, and the people who got the Pros really wanted a Pro machine, and the people who got an Air they wanted the thin computer. But over the next 10 years, all the way to today, how has that changed? Well, one, the MacBook is gone, and the MacBook Air is now the computer most people should buy. It's actually what I'm using right now, because when I travel, the M4 MacBook Air is so powerful, it's great for that. Maybe, I'm just positing this as a possibility, that the iPhone Air is like the MacBook Air was originally. Most people shouldn't get it. It's nowhere near the best or like usable version that it's going to be years from now. But it's like the prototype of what the future of iPhone Air could be. And maybe one day the battery will get, like battery technology or whatever will get better. Maybe they'll add the second camera. Like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge has two cameras and is almost as thin as the iPhone Air. So maybe one day they add that ultra wide or that secondary camera. It has that upgraded front-facing camera right now, the iPhone Air, the same as the other 17 models. And so maybe it is like the start of that process of the iPhone Air being like novelty now, and one day maybe the phone that most people will want or can use. I don't know. I think physics and battery technology and all that plays into it. But I think like back then, right now Apple is like bifurcating the lines to show like the 17 Pro is the Pro phone. It looks pro. It looks utilitarian. I will even say, just personally, doesn't look as nice as the previous Pros. It just does not look as nice. That camera bar on the back, the aluminum finish as opposed to the titanium, in my opinion, just doesn't look as nice. And so like the MacBook Pros for a long time, like they just don't look as nice, but they're very specific, and the people who want a Pro, and they know why. And the iPhone Air, like the MacBook Air, it's a beautiful looking device. Most people shouldn't buy it, but it exists, and we'll see how it goes over time. Most people, like I'm agreeing with you, should just buy the iPhone 17. That's my thesis.
The difference though is that the original MacBook Air was 2 pounds lighter than the than the PowerBook or what the MacBook Pro at the time. And people who had laptops, that was like an amazing feature you would pay less or you would pay more for, because the purpose of a laptop is to put it in a bag and carry it around. And 2 pounds is a significant difference in weight. It wasn't a great device, but the reason it wasn't a great device, like the original one, had more to do with like connectivity, IO, that kind of thing. Like it had some issues, like in terms of like you had the little flap you had to pull down in order to plug things in, and they fixed that very quickly. That's different though than like there was no other option in terms of like laptops that would. I don't know. I just look at it and I'm like, it doesn't surprise me you can still get one. You could probably order one now and get it tomorrow, because I don't know. Listen, again, I'm sounding super negative. I think that it's cool that they made it. I'm really glad. I also just wish they'd make Apple Intelligence work. And that seems like it would have been a better use of all of that energy and resources, unless it's like, well, we figured out how to make one half of a folding phone thin. So now we can figure out how to make the other half thin, and we'll figure out how to glue a screen between the two of them. I understand that, but you didn't have to ship the product to do that, right? Like they don't need market feedback on whether or not anybody wants a thin phone in order to decide whether or not people will want a folding phone. Because a folding phone is only thin because it has to be. Otherwise, you can't fit it in your pocket when you fold it over. So I don't know.
We need to get them in hand. We need to get them in hand. By next episode, we will both have held the iPhone Air and the Pros and tried them. And so we'll come back to this. You can buy an iPhone Air for in-store pickup on launch day still right now if you wanted to. Amazing. So there's that.
But you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Probably shouldn't. We'll talk about it next week when we have them in hand. I do want to mention for the iPhone 17 Pros, Tyler Stallman had an incredible review of the iPhone 17 Pros. He is a photographer and pro photographer and videographer by trade, and he really put the iPhone Pro through its paces, especially that 8X camera, which is really impressive. He did some things with like action mode and filming on the 4X and 8X, and it is crazy impressive. The stability, that's the 8X camera, and the stability of action mode plus that 8X camera is wild. And he's just hand holding the iPhone 17 Pro and doing these shots. So pretty wild, and it's impressive. I'm excited to try this. He really did, I think, one of the best photography, videography type reviews. If you look at this is like the preview of like what he's seeing while he's capturing the video. And then once he goes to the finished video with the action mode stabilization, that looks insane. That looks insane.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that is just he did this previously. Was it 2 years ago? And when he was there in like Italy or something like that, and he had like the statue, and that like blew everyone's mind. And it's like, how are you going to top that? And he still managed to by showing the before and the like. It's just amazing.
He managed to top it. That actually went viral on TikTok when he did that Italy shot. And I hope his review right now is doing really well. But yeah, it was a great review. And so we'll talk about more again when we have them in hand next week. But also, I want to mention just the Apple Watch Ultra 3 and Series 11. It seems like it's totally just kind of forgotten amidst all this other stuff. Just because, I mean, they're both just minor spec bumps, but right? They're just kind of like,
well,
there.
Also, other than a slightly larger screen on the Ultra 3 and the fact that they're now counting the overnight wearing it as part of the battery life, like I don't think that the battery life is actually any longer. I could be wrong, but I don't think that it is. Also, if the form factor is the same size and the screen is bigger, then they have to make something smaller. Like that's just physics, I think. And I'm guessing that they didn't make the SoC smaller because it's the same one, right. Isn't it? I think it's the SoC. It's the same one.
So the Ultra 2 had the S9. So the Ultra 3 is an upgrade from that.
But it's not S10. It's not an actual different processor though.
It's not a different processor. And also the Series 10 last year had the S10 chip. So it's like it's kind of weird. You would get an upgraded chip if you went Ultra 2 to Ultra 3, but not Series 10 to Ultra 3.
But they put the satellite stuff in. Anyway, but also the headline features of this watch are not actually features of this watch, just so that we're clear. They're Watch OS features that they talked about.
Yes.
Because it's as part of the watch. And you know what that tells you is there wasn't going to be very much to talk about. So they saved some software features, specifically the hypertension alerts. And what was the other one?
The sleep score.
Sleep score. Yeah. Because the moment I updated my Ultra 2.
Yeah, I got it.
I got a thing saying, good job on sleeping. I'm like,
Yeah, I have a sleep score right
What?
now on my 16 Pro.
yeah.
And my,
Because it goes pro. It's not using any new information.
Right.
It's not taking new measurements, anything. It'll just automatically retroactively score all of your past nights of sleep that you were wearing your watch.
Yeah.
So that's like, they kind of buried the lead, which is watch is pretty much the same.
Well, it's pretty much the same. I want to try the satellite connectivity. I'm going to go drive out to the middle of nowhere and see how that goes. But one interesting thing about that, though.
I'm going to intentionally get lost, drive my car off a bridge, and see how it works.
The Ultra 3, if you do not pay for a cellular plan on satellite connectivity, all you can do is message emergency services. That's the only option you have.
Which I think you could do before, or no? You could do from your phone before.
You can do from your phone.
Yeah.
But you have to pay for a cellular plan if you want to send iMessages over satellite or send your location via Find My to your friends and family. That requires a cellular plan, even though it's using the satellite connectivity if you're on that. So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. And so if you do plan on using your Ultra 3 to go hiking in the middle of nowhere and you might get lost, and you're going to use satellite connectivity, I guess pay for a cellular plan so you can also message people and send your location.
Yeah, and I mean, Apple Watch cellular plans are like $10 a month on most.
They're pretty cheap. Yeah,
because you usually just put it on the same plane that you have your phone.
Although the most pain in the neck to actually get it on the Apple Watch and active without calling your carrier. Like if you ever try to move a cell phone plan from one watch to another, it's like Indiana Jones again, like trying to switch the bag of sand with the idol. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Do you have a bad experience?
I think we talked about it on the show. The experience I had.
Oh,
with,
yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
Our sons or something. It was I had forgotten about that, and you started saying that. I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, oh, actually, it does.
Actually,
it's
it's
so
the
terrible.
Worst. It is the worst. All right, quick lightning round, and then we're going to get to our listener voicemails. YouTube had a Made for You event where they talked about a bunch of things, especially like more live streaming tools for creators where you can live stream both landscape and vertical at the same time. But also, they're going to use AI to help podcasters promote themselves. So basically, YouTube is now going to get into the clip game where because your content's already there, you could click a button and it's going to make a bunch of vertical clips of your podcast or your long form video content using AI. And so they also said they paid over $100 billion to creators ever like since the beginning of YouTube, which is pretty wild. There was also a line saying like, we didn't create a platform. We created an economy. And like, that sounds a little hyperbolic, but I also think that's kind of true. So
yeah, I also just think it should. Apple does the same thing when they're like, we paid this much money to developers. The thing is, like, that's ad revenue share, right? They're not paying the creators. They're just the advertisers are paying, and then YouTube is giving a very small amount of that to the YouTubers relative to because YouTube has paid $100 billion to creators. How much money during that time has YouTube made? I'm just curious.
Well, probably. I think the split is like 65-35. So just from ads, they made what 65 or I don't know. I can't do the math right now, but they made a lot. And also all the videos that are not monetized. I guess.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You know, they benefit from that just as a content. But anyway, all right. Continuing with the lightning round, OpenAI is working on humanoid robots. So, you know, if you wanted something to keep you up at night, you can think about that.
Yeah, what could go wrong? That's it.
What could possibly go wrong? Also, there was a study about like how people are using ChatGPT. OpenAI, it was from OpenAI. They released its study. Basically, 73% of ChatGPT messages are non-work related, up from 53% a year earlier. And, you know, there's been a lot of news recently about mental health in ChatGPT and using ChatGPT as like a friend or whatever, and like, is that okay? So I do think it's interesting that high was, 73% non-work related, but also like how you use ChatGPT. First of all, asking it about, you know, why you weren't feeling well, but now using ChatGPT to just say like, look at this restaurant menu, what should I eat? I guess they would categorize that as non-work because that's like a personal thing, but it's a high percentage.
Listen, I will tell you though, finding food that doesn't have a lot of sodium in it is definitely work. It takes a lot of work to find food
that is
not just marinated in sodium.
That is work related. This next one, I forgot to pull up the thing I wanted to show with this, but Amazon also announced it's going to creating more tools to fill its site with AI ads. Just what everybody wants. More AI ads. You're
Right.
welcome.
First of all, I don't want more ads. Second of all, the ones made by AI tend to be worse. Like, yes, the return on investment is higher because you invest zero and the AI just does it. That's fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steven.
I just wanted to say, and I'm going to try and pull this up as I'm describing it. My daughter, one of her friends got a toy, like electronic dog from Amazon. It's like you put batteries in it, it walks around or whatever. And so my daughter wanted it as well, and she was like, "It's only $5." I was like, $5? How is that? Like that doesn't make any sense. So I looked it up. We found the exact model that she was talking about, and every single image of this dog was AI generated. And not only that, there was in the image previews and on the Amazon product page, it showed a guy in a workshop building this dog by hand. And it said something like handmade or whatever. And I looked at my daughter, I was like, that is an AI generated dude. And an AI, like that is all, every single image was AI generated. And I was like, this is the future. And I don't want any of it. So anyway.
Also, the dog's not real.
I mean, nothing is real, but the images, the dog's a physical object you could at least take a picture of. But this was like, nah, we're just going to do AI images of everything. So anyway, that was terrifying.
All right, I could understand if this was a Kickstarter. It's like we haven't actually made any yet.
Right.
But it's being sold on Amazon. That feels a little different.
Exactly. All right, last thing before we get to our listener voicemails, you actually put this in the show notes. NVIDIA invests $5 billion in Intel, plans to co-design chips. I was trying to figure out a metaphor for this. Like, is this the Joker and Batman working together? Is this Lex Luthor and Superman? But no, you said it's none of those things.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, so Intel and NVIDIA are not necessarily enemies, right? I mean, technically, NVIDIA has made some graphics stuff. But I mean, NVIDIA is a very specific company, right? They make stuff for AI. They used to make gaming graphics cards and GPUs, stuff, but now it's like there's a whole lot more money in just selling these things to Meta and whoever else will buy them for like OpenAI and Microsoft, whoever, right? And so like, yeah, my metaphor, this is not like Batman and Superman or Batman and the Joker. This is like Batman and some really old, poor, homeless person on the street who can't even afford to buy bourbon anymore. Like they're teaming up together.
That's Intel.
To fight.
You're saying that's Intel.
You can decide on your own which one is which, right?
Okay.
I'm just saying, NVIDIA is not homeless. Let's just put it that way. I'm pretty sure they're the wealthiest company in the world, right? And Intel is literally on the verge of like, should we even exist anymore?
That is true. Anyway, all right, that was interesting. Let's get to listener voicemail. This was so fun. We had 5 people send us audio messages about what they were excited, what they pre-ordered. So we're just gonna play them and talk about this. First one is from Stephen Gear, and so here's his message.
Hey Stephen and the other guy, Stephen here from the UK. I had every intention of upgrading this year, but I can't really get past my OCD of having an orange phone with an Apple Watch Ultra. They're not the same materials either. So I think I'm going to stick with the 15 Pro and the Ultra 2 for another year.
So the orange got him, and he went so far as to say they're not the same material. He doesn't like the aluminum phone with the titanium watch.
Listen, I was going to think about the fact that he called me the other guy, but that's fine. The fact that he said it all with a British accent makes you can say whatever. It's totally fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. Also, by the way, this is our personal tech segment. I don't know if we said
this is personal tech. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, he's sticking with it. And honestly, I think this is a theme amongst a lot of listeners about just sticking kind of with what they have. But thanks for sending that in, Stephen. And yeah, I don't know the next time you'll be able to get the same material phone and watch. I don't know if Apple's going to go back to. I mean, you can get an aluminum Apple Watch.
Yeah, you can get an aluminum Apple Watch. But it just won't be an Ultra. Yeah.
Which, listen, I get it, Stephen. I wouldn't get that either. Anyway, all right. This is Josh Wold. He sends us a message here. And
all right, I'm walking on streets of Manhattan. Maybe a little noisy. I'm probably going to get the AirPods 3. I use the 2s. I have the Max. My life is surrounded by AirPods. But the main reason I want to get them is because I sleep with Beats. the little buds at night to add the noisemaker, and I use AirPods in the day, and the 8-hour ANC battery would be perfect for me. Just go to bed, pop them in, and I don't have to walk about with the Beats. Just got AirPods. So that's my deal. iPhones, I think I'm going to wait for next year. I've got a 16 Pro Max, no real reason to upgrade, except that I want to. But I think I'll hold off. Maybe I'll get a Fold next year.
So Josh.
Do you think, Steven, I use AirPods probably as much as anyone. I think I have them all like constantly. I'm always, in fact, I would feel worse leaving home without my AirPods in my pocket than my phone. Like, I mean that for real. I wouldn't want to leave home without my phone, but like I have actually done that before. But if I leave without my AirPods, I feel really weird about it. And I'd leave my wallet home before I'd leave any of that stuff. It's fine. I don't even care about my wallet anymore.
You can Apple Pay most places, yeah.
I never worry about the battery on my AirPods. Like, because I can put them back in the case for 10 minutes and then use them for the rest of the day. Like, I've never had battery anxiety about the AirPods, despite the fact that I can't have the battery percentage on the case. Like, it's fine. Like, there's no problem.
But you don't sleep with them, right?
No, I don't sleep. Maybe that's okay. But
you know, I think.
But when I'm actually asleep, I don't care if the battery dies.
Sure.
No, I mean, I'm not being Josh. I'm not trying to sound condescending.
Yeah.
I actually mean that sincerely. I only need the battery to last until I fall asleep.
Yeah. I don't know, because I do think so. My oldest son, he wears AirPods Pro to sleep, and like I walk downstairs and they're sleeping on the couches here because that's all we have, and so like he's wearing his AirPods Pro now. So the thing is, when he wakes up, I imagine he would want to keep listening to stuff, but they're dead. And so maybe, you know, if you like listening to stuff all the time, which maybe you're binge listening to Primary Tech episodes, which we highly recommend, you know, you might just want to be listening, you know, when you get up also. And yeah, you can throw them in the case for 10 minutes when you take a shower or whatever, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I do like, apparently the AirPods Pro 3 can actually withstand being submerged in water now. That is the first time AirPods Pro, MKBHD said that in his interview. So don't go swimming with them.
No, and I think also they still recommend you not wear them like in the shower because of the force of water.
Yes. It's not recommended, but it'll survive. So there you go. But anyway, AirPods Pro, but he's sticking with the iPhone 16 Pro. Another, you know, again, just kind of another in that line. So this next one, this one's from Karthik from the UK. Let's hear from him.
Hello, Stephen. My name is Karthik, calling from the UK, or leaving the message here. I love your show, and I like the other guy too. Hi, Jason. Battery percentage on, just to cover that. I had three things. The first one is how impressive is it that Apple has stopped software locking features? I just noticed this morning that my workouts, you can track it directly on the phone with an Apple Watch. Previously, it was only cycling. Now you can see any workout live. The second one is about iPhone Air. Obviously, the sales, it didn't run out. You could still pick up a phone today, that is for the 19th. Is this because, do you think, that China, one of the biggest markets, there's no sale of iPhone Air just yet? Therefore, there's more stock to go through. And the third thing about the black iPhone Pro Max, I was thinking, why would Apple not give the black, which has always been there? Could this be that they parked this model for when they announce the Siri just to get people's attention? Not just announce Siri, but also give a really good iPhone with it. I love your show. Keep it going, man. Always listen to it. Never missed it. Bye.
That was very kind. He said your name too. He said
I appreciate that. I feel very loved, Karthik. Thank you so much. So we talked about two of these three things.
Yes.
We talked about the software, the fact that they aren't software locking things. They're making, maybe they should have, so there would be more distinction, but they did not, which I appreciate very much. The interesting thing about the Air, though, is Apple. The reason he's suggesting the reason the Air is not on sale in China is that it's eSIM only, and
Right.
most of the carriers, I think all of the carriers in China require physical SIMs. I think that's true. In fact, I think that's the only reason Apple makes any phones anymore with physical SIMs is China, which is obviously a huge market.
Right.
The fact that they're still going to sell it and not care about it also tells you that they don't think they're going to sell very many. But they knew they weren't selling it in China when they put the order in with whoever makes these, like with Foxconn. So I don't know that that's necessarily the case. But the color thing is an interesting thing. I think that what Karthik was saying is that maybe the black iPhone Pro will come, 17 Pro will come later. You know, they did that for a couple of years where they put out a purple one or they put out a whatever color. But those are the
green
base.
came out mid-year, and I'm still
salty about that.
Salty about it. Yeah.
So maybe that's a thing that will happen. Like that would make sense. I feel like they've always had a black one for such a long time, and it's weird kind of that they don't. I think it was ATP, the guys were suggesting that the Pro colors are basically just because of Auburn, and that's Tim Cook's alma mater. I don't know if that's the case. It's also Denver Broncos color. I don't know.
It's also the Tom and Jerry and the dog cartoon.
Or Luke Skywalker, with the
hawk,
suit on. Yeah. But yeah. I think that probably, I don't know why they didn't make a black one. I am intrigued by the idea that maybe there is one coming and that they're just going to release it out of cycle. That would be, I don't know why they would do that except for to get maybe more people to upgrade at that point. But I would like a black one.
Right. Well, and a lot of people would like a black one. I feel like the last time there wasn't a black option was like iPhone 6 because there wasn't really colors. And there were
no pros at the time.
There were no pros. There were no colors. But it was like the lightest color iPhone, and there wasn't an option to get a different one. I guess you could also say like the iPhone 3GS and the original were the same thing. But
they were black on the back.
The iPhone, the 3GS was.
In fact, they didn't have a white one until later because it took them a long time to figure out how to make white plastic or something.
That's right. So it was the original iPhone and the iPhone 6 and 6S. Those are the only ones.
Well, the original one was still black on the back. It just had the
black
metal
bottom. It was aluminum for most of them.
Yeah. And there's one sitting right back there. Don't make me go get it.
No, I know. Anyway, and I think the one thing Karthik was saying was on the phone, when you start a workout now, you actually have more, you get like the workout on the phone. Which
live activity, yeah.
You get the live activity and even in the fitness app. And so I'm not sure why that's just happening now. I don't know, that seemed like kind of software locked, why you couldn't have the workout information on the phone before now. But yeah, so I'm not sure there. But also on the China thing too, I'm reading Apple in China now, or I'm listening to the audiobook. And like back to our discussion about design and function, I think that is a fascinating time of Apple to look back at. Like I'm at the part where they were developing the original iMac and talking about like plastic injection molding and Johnny Ive and the industrial design team versus the product design team and trying to build a computer that they could actually make at scale but still looked as beautiful as they wanted. So I don't know. It's a funny parallel. But anyway, the book is great too, and I'm listening to it now. All right, let's do two more. This is Nick Teague. Here's his voicemail.
Hey, Stephen and Jason, big fans of the show. So what I've decided, I have pre-ordered the AirPods Pro 3, upgrading from my AirPods Pro 2. Excited to see the new foam tips and see if they'll stay in my ears better. I have the same issue where if I'm eating or talking, they start slipping out, so I'm excited for those. I had originally pre-ordered the Apple Watch Ultra 3. I currently have the Apple Watch Ultra 2, and I ended up canceling. Going through all the specs and listening to everyone talk about it, it's just not worth the upgrade. If they maybe would have added different features or a better processor in it, might have been worth it, but my Ultra 2 is going strong, and so I'm going to keep it. And then I have pre-ordered the iPhone 17 Pro. I typically stick with the Pro sizes. The Maxes are just a little bit too big. And I went with the navy blue. I really wish they would have had a black color. I prefer the dark colors. So navy blue is my choice, and I'm very excited. So I can't wait to get them.
That's super fun, Nick. A lot of people wanted the black color, man. I don't know why Apple did that.
Yeah, and the Ultra 3 is going to be an interesting thing to see how well that sells as well.
Right.
What I think is happening, and you see this a little bit with the SE, because they really improved the Apple Watch SE in some meaningful ways as well. And it kind of feels like Apple's product line was pretty compressed, right? And now it does sort of feel like they're like spreading it out, but moving the features of the, let's call the Ultra the Pro watch. I know that that's not what it's called, but like I think that the new features on it, like the being able to view it at a different angle, I kind of made fun of it 2 weeks ago or whatever. But I think if you're like a heavy duty like trail bike, whatever, which clearly I'm not, being able to view your watch better at an angle when it's out in front of you is going to make a difference. Like that is a real feature. For the rest of us, we're just like, the screen's a little tiny bit bigger. So what? But I think it's because they are moving those features closer to the extremes and then filling in the gaps in between that's why I like the iPhone 17 and the 11. They have a lot of the same features.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. All right, last voicemail. Then we got to go to a bonus episode. This is Jacob O'Brien.
Hey, Steven. Hey, Jason. This is Jacob from Michigan. I'm going to get the iPhone Air this year. I think the pros were just a little depressingly familiar for me, and I'm not real thrilled about the decision to drop the 5X optical telephoto for a 4X 100mm telephoto. I am not real confident that the fusion camera system that they're using for that 8X telephoto is going to look very good, especially when the optical quality of the telephoto on this most recent year's Pros was already kind of the worst performer of the bunch. And that being said, the 5X was still my most used lens this past year on my 16 Pro. So honestly, that decision alone kind of makes the camera system issue that a lot of people are going back and forth about with the Air kind of null. I've never liked the ultra-wide camera, so that not being there doesn't bother me. I think the weight is very exciting. I carry messenger bags, gym bags, crossbody bags. I've never put my Pros or Pro Max phones in my pocket. I think it's almost embarrassing how much they weigh down your pants when you put them in there. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's got better colors. It's really the phone this year that I think makes the most sense if you're an enthusiast. I think, if you need a Pro for work, which I can't imagine many do unless you are, again, like yourselves making YouTube content, but my background is in film production, and I shoot everything on a dedicated body still, whether that's FX6, whether that's the Blackmagic Pocket cinema cameras. I can never see myself using the Pros as a video production tool. So, to wrap it up, the Air is kind of the design I've wanted for the last 15 years or so. When the 4, the 4S, and the 5, the 5C, which I had, came out when I was in high school. This is the phone that I imagined would be around in years to come, the design. So, again, I just think if you're an enthusiast, the Air is the only one that makes sense this year. And while the Pros are exceedingly well done, well crafted pieces of tech, I think, for me, I'm ready to switch it up.
Jake?
So here's one thing I would just say to Jacob. First of all, fellow Michigander. Awesome.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Happy to hear that. But the biggest, so yes, the 5X telephoto was not the greatest camera. It was great that you had the option.
Yeah.
The difference is that the new 4X is a 48 megapixel sensor, whereas the telephoto was not a 48 megapixel sensor before, right?
Right. Correct.
I think that's true. So when you get the 8X, it's still going to be like a 12 megapixel crop of that, which you're going to. So I think overall, just look at Tyler Stallman's video. I think that telephoto lens is going to perform substantially better. And I don't think that they would have called it a fusion if they weren't going to be able to do that. They're going to say it's not a crop. It is. They're cropping the middle pixels of it, but then they're doing some computational stuff to account for all of that. So I do think that's, if you found yourself using the telephoto the most, going to the Air is an interesting move because you're literally losing the whole thing.
Yeah, and Jacob being a professional videographer, I think is also an interesting perspective. Like he has a bunch of cameras he's going to use anyway.
Sure.
Also, awesome to hear like variety, like just the variety of listeners we have that into like pro video. But yeah, I'm curious. I mean, maybe the Air is that light enough package where it's going to appeal to someone who's just tired of carrying around some stuff. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Just tired of carrying it around. And I will say, depending on your pants, yeah, the pros they can drag them down significantly. So,
Depending on your pants.
Depending on your pants. That was awesome. Thanks so much for those voicemails. We're going to get, you send us more. As you get your devices, if you got them on launch day, leave us voicemails over this week. We'd love to play them again on the show. Super fun just to hear from you listeners. So we're going to go record a bonus episode about maybe something I didn't want to put in the main episode. But also Jason has a device he's going to talk about. The remarkable, what is it called? The remarkable
Paper Pro Move.
Paper Pro Move. So we're going to talk about that. You can support the show and you get access to the bonus episodes, ad-free version, our raw unedited audio feed, which we have a big pre-show. You can do all that at join.primarytech.fm, or you can support us directly in Apple Podcast. I would go to join.primarytech.fm because you get the chapters for all of it. Plus, you have the daily show that comes out every day. Yes, this week I'm doing a lot of 11 Labs episodes because I'm traveling and I don't have access to the studio all the time. But that daily show comes out Monday through Friday. And if you haven't yet, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We'd love to hear from you there as well. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.